Hey girlies, it's Tammy. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I've dug deep into the back of my drawers and I've pulled out some products that I haven't used in forever. And they're products that used to be like staples in my collection, but of course new products release all the time and these kind of just made their way to the back of the drawer. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try them again and see if I still like them or if they do actually deserve their place at the back of the drawer. So the first one is, I was really surprised that I actually really used to love this, but I think it's because it's not too dewy, even though it's called the NYX Honey Do Me Up Primer. I clearly have got like nearly halfway through this, but knowing me, this isn't going to be like super oily or anything because I don't like oily dewy primers, but this one is probably just like a hydrating primer. So I'm going to go ahead and some of that went across my mouth when I dragged it. It has like a sticky, you know, honey type of texture, if you guys can see that stringy effect. Yeah, it feels really nice and hydrating, and it starts to get a little bit sticky or tacky when it dries down. It almost reminds me of like the Milk Hydra Grip Primer. Yeah, I actually do really still like that. It's added hydration, but it's not oily, and it definitely has dried down and soaked in nicely. So we'll continue using that. I also pulled out the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop foundation. So I had this for a while and then I noticed it was kind of breaking me out. Every time I used it, I would just have spots on my face the day after or 2 days after, and it happened quite a few times, so I managed to narrow it down to this foundation. However, my foundation was very old, so maybe it is one of those foundations that when it expires you just can't use it. But NYX recently did send over a new package of like new foundations because they sent like a mask proof makeup package, and this was included, of course, because it dries down and it's meant to be transfer proof. But I think because I have a new bottle, a fresh bottle, I'm hoping it won't break me out. Anyways, I'm taking the shade Nutmeg anyway, and this is so full coverage, you don't need a lot of this, so I'm probably taking about that much. And from what I remember, this foundation dries pretty fast, so you do want to work with it and blend it out pretty fast. Coverage, I've only used a little bit. I prefer to start with a little bit and build it up if I need to, but so far it's a high medium. But I know it's definitely a foundation you can build up to be full coverage. But it's one of those formulas that if it didn't break me out, I would absolutely love it because it dries down matte, it's full coverage, it's really long lasting. It's just a really good foundation. So for concealer, I've pulled out the Huda Beauty Overachiever Concealer in the shade Caramel Corn. I haven't used this in forever. From what I remember, it's a very heavy, full coverage concealer that is so easy to go overboard with. Oh, it's so cold as it's touching my skin. Feels nice actually to have that coolness around your eyes, but don't go overboard with this, guys. Less is more. Build up if you need to. This is not a concealer that I would do like the triangle thing with, because it's one of those concealers that you would easily end up with a full face of concealer. Once you blend it out, it will just end up going everywhere. So just a small amount, and then once you've blended it out, if you need more, great, go in with more. If you don't, then perfect, you haven't got a like heavy cakey under eye, because it is honestly such a beautiful concealer if you use the right amount. So this is perfect actually, like I used the right amount. I haven't used this in forever because I'm kind of scared of it. I'm scared of doing too much and looking too cakey, so I just kind of avoid it. But I definitely should use it a bit more because when you do use the right amount, it's so beautiful and flawless. I definitely think you get your money's worth with this concealer because it's going to last you forever. The amount that you need is so little, it will literally last you a year, if not two, if you use it every day. But yeah, that is the concealer. I'm just taking whatever's left on the brush kind of around my mouth. Now I'm going to go in with powder. So I've pulled out the Fenty Beauty, I haven't used this in forever, Pro Filter Banana Powder. I just remember not loving it. Normally when it comes to powders, I'm pretty easy to please. All it needs to do is blur and mattify. But if I remember correctly, I think this powder was very like heavy underneath my eyes, but then again, I could have just been using too much. So I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, it has a strong scent, but I do like the smell of it. I think at the time that I did use this, I was into baking. So maybe it's not a baking type of powder. Maybe it is just a powder that you smooth underneath. I don't know, something about this. It almost has like a reflective, light reflecting effect to it. And it's not the smoothest blurring powder. Like I can still see my pores and like lines. Normally with powder, when I apply it, it just kind of like smooths everything out. But I can still see like my imperfections. It's just not, and my pores, I usually don't see my pores once I've powdered. They're usually like gone for the first hour until my oils start breaking breaking through, but I can still see my pores. It's just not the most smoothing powder that I have in my collection, so I just don't tend to reach for it. For the rest of my face, I've pulled out my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Dark. This got replaced by, I think it was the Kat Von D powder, and then the Kat Von D powder got replaced by the Airbrush Charlotte Tilbury powder, so I haven't used this in a while, but this used to be my go-to face powder to set the rest of my face. To be honest, I probably still love this because it is just a lightweight powder that doesn't add too much color but mattifies and sets down the powder. I do like to set my foundation just so that when I go on top with my bronzer and blusher, it doesn't like grab to any spots. Yeah, I think that MAC powder performs just as well. Like if I didn't have my Charlotte Tilbury one, I probably would still use this. Then for bronzer, I pulled out the Morphe Glamour Bronze in the shade Leader. Out of all of my bronzers, this is the one that I haven't used in forever. I'm not quite sure. I think it's quite dark. I don't tend to go for darker bronzers anymore. I tend to go for something that's really similar to my skin tone, just a little bit warmer and a tiny smidgen bit deeper, but it just melts onto the face really nicely, so I don't have a problem with it. Do you know what it probably was? I obviously created my face palette with Revolution, so probably what happened is I just stopped using every other bronzer in my collection and this one just got pushed to the back. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with this bronzer. I think, guys, if you were given the opportunity to make your dream face palette, would you not use it every day? That's basically what happened to me. So far, the only thing I'm thinking about decluttering is the Fenty powder. And you know what? If it wasn't Fenty, I would easily just let go of it, give it to friends and family. But because it's Fenty, I want to love it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we all love Rihanna. I want to keep it, but I don't like how it looks on my face. I just... So I've picked out the Revolution Pro blush palette. I used to use this every day, but once again, I made my own face palette, so I just don't use this anymore, because if I need a blush, I just use the one in my face palette. But of course, this is the shade Peach. Look how dirty this is, guys. I used to use this every day. These are my go-to type of tones for blushes. I love orangey tones, so I'm just like mixing these two shades. It is still a gorgeous. Do you know what? And these oranges aren't in my palette, so if I did want more of a lighter peach, I could definitely go for this. So yeah, I wouldn't declutter or get rid of this palette because I still love like the colors and the tones in here. So before there was Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, there was Skindinavia makeup spray. I was gonna get my Urban Decay one, but I finished that. I believe these people make the Urban Decay setting spray, or like they're made in the same factory, something like that. I heard that rumor, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this. I haven't used this in forever. Oh god, what is going... Ooh! Ah! Okay, there we go. It's working now. Oh, that's a bit... Just needed a bit of warming up, okay? It's better. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, this is the finished base look. I'm going to do my eyes with the Natasha Denona Trio Chrome in another video, which is why I'm not doing it here. But this is my base using products that I've dug out from the back of my makeup drawers. Let me know if you want another one, because unfortunately I do have more products in the back of my drawers that haven't been touched in a little while. However, out of the products that I've pulled out today, I'm really glad that I've kind of reinforced my love for them. I definitely want to keep everything in my collection. Probably not the Fenty Beauty powder, unfortunately. I could live without that. I have so many beautiful powders in my collection that I love with all of my heart, that give me the blurred, smoothed effect that I really like, whereas this one is just, it has a little bit of an illuminating factor to it, which some people would love. Dry skin, maybe normal skin would love, but my oily skin type just doesn't go for it. It doesn't live for it. So, but everything else I'm glad that I have, and I will definitely use them a bit more. I'm holding that thought on the NYX foundation. I'm going to see tomorrow if I wake up with any brand new spots apart from this one right here. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Take care. Bye.